Hello there, and welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I am so glad you are joining me here today. As you've likely guessed by now, my name is Denise Alvarez. I get the pleasure and honor of hosting you here each week. And before we dive into today's episode, I will quickly introduce myself, just in case for new friends, and then we'll jump into talking all things AI, marketing, and your horse business. Now, as I said, my name is Denise, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help dream-chasing horse business owners like yourself to clear the marketing fog so they can take strategic, intentional steps to build their business with confidence and with purpose. Now, I do this primarily through business and marketing coaching, and then education such as this podcast and some online learning resources also. All that I do, friends, is so that you, as an equestrian entrepreneur, can be out in the barn, the arena, behind the camera lens, at your computer, at your workshop, wherever it is you serve the equine industry. I want to help you do more of that. And so, as I said, today we are doing that by way of really diving into how you can use AI for your business without losing your voice and giving up your power as the owner and strategist of your business. I'm going to walk you through a proactive approach to using AI as your marketing assistant. Notice I said assistant, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then I'll also give you some practical ways that you can use it beyond just saying, write me a caption. Here's the thing. On this podcast, if you've been here for a while, you hopefully know that you can come here expecting a mix of strategy and mindset and practicality. And that's what you're going to get today. So let's jump in. Again, we're talking about AI. For some of you, that is just ChatGPT. For some of you, that's Claude. For some of you, that's Gemini. For some of you, you have a software that you love to use and they've built AI inside of that. And so you're using that. So if you have a social media planner, for example, I know many of those planners are building in AI and saying, hey, we can help you write your content. So wherever it is that you're using AI for your business, specific to marketing, of course, here in operations in general, that's what I want you to think about because it truly is everywhere at this moment. Now, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, whether you're in the equine industry or not, from marketing to general management, there is one opinion that I continue, and then I'm guessing you continue to hear and see around AI. And that is, if you don't use it, then you're going to be left behind. Now, what I want to pull out from that real quick is a mindset that sneaks in when we lean into that, and that's fear, right? All that is inviting you to act or react, honestly, based on fear. Now, on the flip side, to be completely honest, there's fear on the other end, right? There are other people who are saying, hey, we should completely ignore and not use AI because we should be afraid of it. It's going to take over the world. Now, as I said in the beginning, this conversation is specific to AI and marketing your business. But I think it's important to name these thoughts because it's coming into you on your social media, in your email, in your conversations, and they are important conversations to have. But today, where I want to approach this conversation is for looking at it as a tool, okay? It's just another tool in your tool belt. And that means as a business owner, you get to decide how you engage or don't engage with it as a tool from a business perspective. But then my question to you is, as a business owner, are you utilizing this tool to make your life easier? Okay. You can do it in a strategic way, and you can do it in a way that will help you to reach your goals for your business. Now, we've already covered the importance overall of not losing your voice when using AI as a marketing tool here on this podcast. And I talked about it briefly in episode 178. And so you can go back and listen to that. And actually, I recommend that you do go back and listen to that episode after today. I'm going to link to it in the show notes, which is going to be stormlily.com/178. for today's episode, let me tell you that first. The show notes for today is episode 207. So .com/207, okay? Episode 178, we talked about AI in your horse business and 4 ways that you can use it to amplify your marketing. We talked about some specific practical ways that you can do that with a reminder. On there, we talked about how to do it without losing your voice, because that's so very important. We're going to talk about that more in a second, because I just believe in it so much. I think it's an important reminder, because here's the thing. I continue to see so much of the same cadence, groups of 3, right? For an example, not that it's wrong to use groups of 3 in a sentence, but if you notice, it happens all the time. And of course, you're probably aware of the large discussion of the M dash and how AI it uses it frequently, I would say. I won't say overuses it. It uses it frequently, okay? And especially if you're someone who is not used to using it, and then all of a sudden it's showing up in every single social media post multiple times, and everything that you write has an M dash, that doesn't feel as natural. Now, I'm sure that you've seen that as well. And at the same time, I've been seeing early adopters, people who were really on the train of ChatGPT and using AI and all of these ways to do it. They've taken a step back. I've seen a lot of people, horse world or not, decide to take a step back from using it as often, especially for their content writing. Doesn't mean they're not using it, but it does mean when it comes to the marketing piece and the content writing piece, the things that really used to have their voice attached to it, I've seen a variety of people say they feel like they've lost their voice. And so they're taking a step back so they can reconnect with who they are and what their message is and what their brand is. Okay. So that's why I believe so much in having this conversation again and giving you some more practical ways to use it, because I do believe it can be a great tool. Okay. Now, note, I mentioned this earlier. When we're talking about using AI as your marketing assistant, I am not saying as your marketing strategist. I just want to stand on the soapbox for a second. Okay. Anne Hanley is an author, and I get her emails, and she's an author who writes about writing, honestly, and not just copywriting, okay, but writing in general. And she talks about using tools to extend your judgment, not replace it. And I resonate with that so much when it comes to using AI. And actually, she said that in a conversation about AI and people's fear of it replacing, work that people are doing. It should extend your judgment, not replace it. That means when you are working with this tool, I don't want you to throw what you know out the window, okay? Don't hand over your power. It is not a strategist, and we're going to talk a second about why it's not a strategist completely. Can it have some strategic pieces and parts to it? Yes. But do not give up your power, okay? I don't want you using it to write your entire marketing plan without bringing a human into it, or write your entire website copy without taking time to make sure it resonates with your people and it has your voice and is very clear. Bring your discernment to the table. You have a business because you have some discernment, okay? Do not disregard that. Do not think that you don't and then give all of your power over, all right? So with that being said, I want to look at 2 ways that you can use AI as your marketing assistant without losing your voice, okay? There are 2 things that we're going to do. And then I'm going to give you 3 practical things to do as well, because these first 2 are really internal work that you need to do before you jump in and start using it as your assistant. Number 1, start with why. You probably aren't surprised with that if you've been here for a while, because it is so, so important and core to effective marketing to really know who you are, what you do, who you do it for, why you're the best person for the job, what's the transformation that you are helping people to get. These are so key to understand, to embrace, and to bring to the table before you jump in and start asking ChatGPT to do something for you related to marketing your business. Do not start with a blank slate. Start with why. Feed the machine. Okay, I want you to remember it is a learning machine. It does try to sound human a lot, but it's a machine, okay? And so your job is to feed it great information from the start. And so I want you to start with why. And then I want you to keep that visually in front of you so that you remember as we get into this next one, why you do what you do in the first place, who you're best suited to help, okay? Because the second thing that I want to encourage you to do to keep from losing your voice when you use AI as your marketing assistant is to beware of the BFF. I don't know about you, but my ChatGPT is pretty encouraging. Oftentimes, it will tell me I'm on the right track and that I've made the right decision. Regardless of the decision I make, I'm pretty sure it's going to tell me that. And the reality is, what is that going to do? If you make it quote unquote wrong decision, okay? If you lean into the messaging that's actually not going to be the most effective, it is not going to tell you that. It's not going to push back. It's going to say, great job, you're on the right track. This really aligns with what you said you want to do. Let's keep moving. What can I do for you next? And it'll continue to push you down that rabbit hole when you perhaps didn't mean to go there and when you're actually not on the right track because it's not thinking strategically for you. Okay? It's not going to challenge your assumption. It's not going to challenge your ideas unless you tell it to. You have to take the time to actually train it and tell it what you want it to do. But on the flip side, if everything you get back from it is on the right track and keep you going, then it's going to take you down actually the wrong path. Okay. It's not going to influence you in the right way and it's not going to challenge you. It's just going to pat you on the back and say, good job. You did a great job today. Let me know how else I can help you. Right. So I'll tell you specifically for me what that looks like. I do use, personally right now, I use ChatGPT. I want to play with Gemini because I've heard good things about it, but I have not done that yet. So right now for me, it's ChatGPT and I have saved a lot of time with it, but here's what it looks like. So I will give it, for example, a transcript from podcast interviews. And I have notes that I've taken as I've interviewed people. So I know what the lessons and takeaways are that they have shared that I want to make sure are pulled out for the blog post that I'm going to have on the website so that for those of you who go to the show notes to get the highlights of the conversation, I have that there as a blog post. And so I will say, here's the transcript. I want you to pull out the main takeaways and turn that into a blog post. And I will compare it to my notes. Okay. So it's supposed to be pulling exactly from the transcript. And I more than once have had it come back and say, oh, great, here you go. Here are some takeaways. And it pulls out its own takeaways, which can be nice and helpful. But to be honest, oftentimes they're very generic and watered down and not specifically related to what my guest was trying to say. They water it down and then they make it sound good and positive and encouraging. And so I'll push back and say, hey, that's actually not what I asked for. I need you to pay attention to the specific things in the interview, but I have to put energy and time into doing that, okay? Because otherwise it would just say, oh, this is great. Here's what I put together for you. And you're on the right track, Denise. And here you go. And so I don't need that. I need someone, not someone, it's a machine. I need something that's going to actually do what I ask it to do. So I've got to be specific in my ask. Otherwise, it's just going to be an encouraging BFF and keep taking me down a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. Okay. So the same is true for you. If you want to keep your voice as you're feeding it information and it shoots something back and it's watered down, but it sounds very similar and they're saying, you're making the right choice, Denise, keep going. Then I want you to just be aware of that because it very, very much can lead to a watered down message. And that's not going to help you connect with your right fit customers, which is the goal of your marketing. Okay. It's supposed to be a filter, remember? And if it's watered down, it is not a filter. And so remember, my job here is that Come to Marketing specifically is to help you to craft messaging that's going to convert your right fit audience into customers. And your right fit audience is not everybody. Okay. So don't let it water you down. Don't let it just encourage you and be your BFF. Now, as I said, those are the two things when it comes to your voice that I want you to really pay attention to and to walk in with your strategic business owner hat on as you sit down to use this tool, okay? Go in aware and then go in and have fun with it, but go in aware. So let's talk about some ways you can have fun with it and use it. Now, I know many of you are using it to write content, and if you go back and listen to that episode 178 I told you about, you're going to learn about some ways to do that. But there are some other ways that you might be missing out on that would make AI a valuable, helpful marketing assistant for you. It's going to help save you time and some headache and see things in a new way. It actually can see things in a new way if you tell it to, okay? Because the reality is, as a marketing assistant, if you're just using it to help you write some captions or fix a certain copy issue that you're having, you're missing out on what's actually available to you with this tool, okay? And I want you to be able to utilize it. So let's talk about 3 practical ways that you can use AI as your marketing assistant now that we've established we're not going to lose our voice. Number 1 is research. You can use the AI tools available to you to find new leads, for example, to find events that you are considering, or let me say that better, to find events if you are saying, I want to be at more events this year. I want to sponsor more horse shows or rodeos. I want to network with more equestrians. Do the research for me. And then get on there and tell them what you want and tell them what you want to find. Give clear parameters, okay? And ask it. Say, I need you to put together a list of places that I should go this year to connect with XYZ, or how many rodeos are within a certain radius of where I am that I should be at. Okay, be specific with your parameters, but ask it to do the work for you versus you going online and doing the research yourself. Start there, okay? All right, so we've talked about research. Sorry, I have to find my place in my notes there. I got excited about that one because I can tell you I've been on calls with clients and we're talking about doing some research and I'm like, "Hey, you don't have to spin your wheels doing that. You can go in and use ChatGPT, use Claude, Gemini, whatever it is you're using to do that, okay? You can consider using it to do some competition research as well. Now, obviously, I want you to be aware, okay? Have a mindset going. And if you're going to look at what your competition is doing, don't be comparing, don't be copying, right? We're doing this with integrity. But it can be helpful to know the competition that's around. Is it what's available to your clients and customers that they are considering when they're in a buying decision process? What are some of the alternatives that they're considering? That's not a bad thing. So you could use ChatGPT or whatever other platform you like to do some of that research for you. Have it tell you what else is available to your potential clients and customers, okay? So use it as a research tool. And then use it to extract insights from your existing data. Okay. Now, here's what I mean by that. Many of you already have emails between yourself and existing or potential clients. You have testimonials that you have gathered in a Google Doc that you're not doing much with yet. You have notes from potential client conversations. Maybe it's discovery calls that you've had. You have direct messages available to you. You have survey responses. You have videos that you've created with transcripts. You actually have a lot of data that you could use to build, let me say that better. I'm sorry, friends. You have some data that you could have ChatGPT or your other favorite tool analyze so that you can find the learnings from it, that you may have so much golden information right under your fingertips and you just don't know it. So for example, what if you fed it some of that information and you say, I want you to identify the common pain points you see in this thread? What are some of the objections that I'm missing that people are asking or telling me this is why they're not buying? And how can I address those objections? I want you to find specific phrases my customers are using. And then I'm telling you as a marketing strategist, okay, use those in your copy. All right. That's going to be copy gold for you. You could tell it to identify keywords that will help you in your search engine optimization, right? So here's who I'm trying to reach. Now, what are the things that they are saying? How are they looking up solutions to their problems? And how can I show up for that? Okay. An example that I'll give you, practically speaking, where I did this was as I was putting together the Business Barn Collective last fall. I put together a survey of my audience, and many of you, thank you, filled that survey out. And so one of the things that I did was take some of the answers related to the challenges. For example, what are the challenges you're facing when it comes to growing your equine business? I was able to take those answers, jump into ChatGPT and say, this is what my ideal audience is saying are their problems. Give me the buckets, the categories that these fall into. Tell me some of the common pain points that I can address with this new program I'm creating. And so you can see how taking the data that you already have and putting it in there can be really helpful to give you solid information. Now, as any of you researchers know, okay, or scientists know, the information you get is only as good as the source. Okay, so the output is only going to be as good as the input. Meaning, if the people that filled out my survey were not my ideal customers and I took their answers and I put it into ChatGPT, then clearly the information that I got is not going to help me build a group coaching program filled with the right people. Okay. So we want to focus on making sure we have good input in order to have a good output. Now, the third practical way that you can use AI in your horse business right now is to create systems from your existing processes. Okay, here's what I mean. Don't leave me if you're like, Denise, you stopped at systems and I was done. Please don't. Because as a business coach, I will tell you, there are many clients that I work with where a lack of system is actually the thing that's holding them back. And it does not have to be complex in order for it to make your life easier. Okay. So, what I want you to do, what I mean by this is utilize ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever it is you're using. Okay. To take what's already in your head and what you're doing on a regular basis and turn that into something that you can either simplify or delegate to someone else. And you have a standard operating procedure, an SOP, that you can hand to them. All right. So, what does that mean? It means maybe you record a quick video or voice memo and you describe what you do. Okay. So, let's think on a really practical level here. When I get a new client inquiry, I have a conversation with every potential client. Here are the things that I always ask them. Put this into an SOP that I can give my new assistant that's going to take over new prospective inquiries. Okay. So that might be what it looks like. It might be that you have a checklist that you work off of, but you need that turned into a real workflow that you can hand off to somebody else. Okay. Maybe it is client onboarding. When you get new clients, creating a process and a simple system that you can follow. Some of that may be delegating to someone else, and some of it might be just simplifying your process, right? That is something that you can utilize AI to help you with. Maybe it's creating a training manual, a simple training manual. Say you're getting your first virtual assistant, okay? Jump into ChatGPT or whatever, okay? I just tend to say ChatGPT, but jump into there and say, I've hired a new virtual assistant. Here are the 5 things I intend to have them help me with. Help me create a draft training manual to get me started. That's not going to cover everything, okay? But it can give you a place to start. Or it could be that you put in the things that you already have in place and you're like, turn this into a training manual, okay? Again, feeding it great information is the best way to get a great output from AI. All right. Now, what I love about this is, again, for many of you, systems are where you're getting stuck. I think I hear a future podcast episode in that. We need to talk about some systems. But the reality is you can utilize AI to help you simplify your processes and get a system in place that's repeatable so that you're not spinning your wheels, so you're not wasting your time, so you're not feeling burnt out doing the same thing over and over again and wishing someone else would just take it off your hands. But you're going, they're never going to do it the same way as me. Utilizing AI is a great way for you to streamline that process so that you can hand it over to someone and trust that they're going to follow your instructions because they're clear. Okay. All right. I hope this episode, as you always hear me say, has been helpful. My heart is to help you. But as you know, the magic is in the taking action. So my encouragement to you today is to pick one thing that I've shared with you that you're going to start implementing in your business as you utilize AI. Now, I want to give you a bonus tip that you can ask yourself, or question you can ask yourself, again from Ann Hanley that I mentioned earlier. She says, ask yourself, what work do I love doing, regardless of whether AI could do it faster? Because oftentimes when we talk about utilizing AI and when you hear quick tips for how to do it, it's to save time, which can be very helpful. But there are probably things in your business that actually you enjoy doing or that actually are more meaningful when it comes from you, regardless of whether AI could do it faster or not. Okay. Now, as I said, when I'm working with coaching clients, whether it is in one-on-one through Take the Reins, my 6-month one-on-one coaching program, or whether it is through the Business Barn Collective, the curated small group coaching program that I mentioned to you earlier, these are the kinds of conversations that we are having. I regularly find myself telling clients, okay, now that we're clear on this and this next step, here's what I want you to do. Take this to ChatGPT, have it help you. Here's the prompt. And I'll literally tell them, type this in, because sometimes the prompt is the thing that's not helping you. Okay. And because every call is recorded for them, they can literally take that prompt, put it in, and get the information that they need that's going to help them. Because the truth is, I'm not against AI in your marketing. I'm not afraid it's coming from my job as a marketer, to be honest with you. Are there facets of my job that other people are now using AI instead of utilizing what they were utilizing people for before? Absolutely. But there also is an impact for that long term. There also is messaging that is, I said earlier, the same from business to business to business. There's not a unique standpoint. There's not a heart behind what they are putting out there. And that's missing because of the humanness. So I think humanness matters. People still buy from people, okay? And as an equine entrepreneur, you absolutely can utilize AI as a tool to make your life easier and to help you to build and grow the business that meets your version of success. And that, my friends, is why I am here to help you. So do not hand over your power. Stand in your power as an equine business owner and utilize this tool. Okay. Utilize this episode. And let me just tell you one more thing. Okay. If you're listening to this and you're like, Denise, marketing is just not my favorite. Can you simplify it a little bit more for me? Like you've done that here with ChatGPT, but what about marketing overall? I want you guys to get my free guide that will give you the 4 steps to successfully market your horse business. Okay, we're taking this complex machine and breaking it down to give you not only a starting point, but a solid foundation. So, regardless of where you are in the age and stage of your business, if the foundation of your marketing and messaging is not solid, then adding more and more things on top of it is not going to help you to effectively grow your business. So I want to give you that free guide. If you just go to stormlily.com/success, you can get that at any time. Of course, I will link to that in the show notes for you as well. And if this episode's been helpful to you, you know what I'm going to say. Text a friend, send it to a friend, let your fellow equine entrepreneur friends know that this podcast is a place where they can come for practical and strategic help for growing their horse business, right? I will continue to bring you new friends. I have a new guest coming up here soon. So stay tuned for these episodes because my heart truly, as I said in the beginning, is to help you grow your equine business with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Thanks so much for joining me here today, friends. Have an amazing day. I'll see you back here soon.